Well, 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 if it isn't you again. How you doing, man? How you doing? I'm doing fine, man. This will be my 554th video, according to these stats right here. It's not really true. I've made a few more. They're waiting to be uploaded. They're being scheduled for the algorithm, you know. But um, but today is actually a special occasion. Today is the 10-year anniversary of this channel, of Vologda mapping. Can you imagine? 10 years. So, on August the 12th, I uploaded my first video. The first video of what would become Vologda mapping. Um, Technically, I had uploaded 3 videos before that. They were made in GarageBand. I was like 12 years old back then. And I made a few, yeah, songs. But they're not accessible to the public. And that was before, yeah, what would become Vologda mapping started. So I thought today, to celebrate, we're gonna walk through these old videos of mine all the way up until the most recent ones, and we'll walk through the history, the 10 years long history of Vologda mapping. And after that, we have a bit of a Q&A. Yeah, yesterday I asked you guys um, for some questions, I guess, and we'll work through them, I guess. And technically, it's not exactly 10 years yet, or not, at least not the anniversary is not fulfilled, so to speak, because as I'm recording this right now, it's the 11th of August. But that means that today it's been exactly 10 years, if I'm not mistaken. And tomorrow it will say 10 years here, but it will be technically it will be the like 10 years and 1 day then, I guess. So if it would be a real anniversary, then I guess I'd have to wait maybe 6 more hours or something like that. Let's not get bogged into the details. We're celebrating this right now, and I've got a shot of whiskey here. Let's begin. So, the first video, History of Russia. A real simple mapping video. I was 20, no, I was 15. I was 15 years old when I made this. It was a warm summer day in August. It was a few days before school start, and I was bored at home playing around with maps as I always did back then. And for some reason I just wanted to make this into a video. I just made it into a video and I uploaded it to YouTube. I guess I took inspiration from Emperor Tigerstar, which was the main mapper back then, one of the few. And he had less than 1,000 subscribers back then. But it was different days. And come to think about it now, if I am allowed to brag a little, I'm one of the first mappers. Like top 100 at least, first mappers. And today it looks very different. Very different. The mapping has changed. The mapping community has changed. But let's take a look at this so you get an idea of what videos of mine looked like. Is this the... Yep, that's the quality of it. Love the jazz music I had. This was the only music I already had downloaded on my computer, because I didn't know how to download music back then. I was young and not very skilled. And I used province maps like this. Anyways, this got like 15 views, and I thought that was pretty good. 15 views, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep making. And I think my first ever comment, let's have a look, was from my best friend, if I'm not mistaken. Well, he might have deleted his channel. At 000, a legend was born. yeah, so that's the start of Vologda mapping. And then I made another one the next day, and then another, and then another, and then another, and that's sort of how it started. And then I started diverging, making slowly improving the quality and yeah, the quality of the maps and adding some stuff. I think, let me see, when does it actually start changing? When I stop using these province maps. Um, Seems to be here. So this is a fun idea. Oh, look at that intro. It's so amazing. I think this is if you only show the history of the countries that are still around today. So you see Japan, Hungary, that's Bulgaria, France, Sweden, Denmark, England, Norway. Yeah, that's Austria. We have Oman. We have, is that Mongolia or China? I don't know. This is a good idea. And I see the lack of colors I have also. That's pretty embarrassing. So Norway and Spain are the same color. Sweden and Iran. That's sloppy. Then again, it was 10 years ago. 10 years. I was 15. Oh, fuck. I gotta start making new windows here. So, yeah. And around this time, I still had like 30 subscribers. And I actually made a special thank you video for 30 subscribers. But sadly, I deleted it. Quite ashamed of that now. It would have been history. Some people, some mappers especially, deleted their old videos because they're so shitty compared to what they have today. But I've chosen to keep most of mine, almost all of mine, because I think it's the history of Vologda mapping that we're doing right now and that we're seeing right now. And you don't want to delete that, especially if you're a history-based YouTube channel. What else do we have? Um, I guess this is where I started using labels of the countries that were shown in the video. Let's have a look at this then, and I'll have a shot of whiskey. Yeah, now we got some good music at least. And you can see how pixelated it is. I used really small maps. But this isn't even half bad. If I saw this today, it's really retro. I like it. I actually like it. Um, let's see what else. Oh, this was one of my biggest videos back then. The history of the Balkan Peninsula. And I think that got in the comments because people weren't very, well, they were Balkan, so to speak. Let's not even, we gotta move. Fuck. I keep doing this. Gotta open new windows. Oh yeah, this is where it begins to change a bit. I sort of stopped using this gross blue color in the background and began having black as the main color of the channel. Black and red together and blue. That was the theme for quite some time here. Um, every territory ever owned by every modern nation. That's pretty interesting. I had good ideas back then. The inspiration was real. So let's have a look. Um, oh, it goes like this. That's good. So England, yeah. Portugal, Spain, France, Belgium, Netherlands. So the current country is blue and what they've owned is red. I don't remember making this, but I do know it's a video on my channel because I found it on my channel. Yeah, this is good. I want to see Russia before I continue. There we have it. Interesting. Is that really right? I probably would have made things differently now if I made it again. What else? We have the second history of Russia. This is where the quality begins to become a bit better, actually. Um, yeah, I guess my grammar wasn't the best back then, but I think it's starting to become good here. And also I made this alternate history, Nazi invasion of Sweden. That was good. That was a good one. Then we have part 2. Why did I divide it into part 2? I think this was the invasion and this was the liberation. Then this is when I began discovering thumbnails. So I played around with thumbnails a bit. History of capital punishment of Europe. And this, I think, is the first Game of Thrones video on my channel. And you know, we had a Game of Thrones era on this channel. But I guess this is the history. Yeah, the history of the World of Ice and Fire, I think. Yeah, a very simplified version of it. Interesting. If I had the time, I would make it so much better. And I keep clicking these videos. I'm gonna keep making this mistake. What else do we have? I don't think this is a great use of thumbnails, actually. Oh, and this was my first really big project. History of the Nordic countries every year. Well, actually, this is version 2, so where's the first version? Might have deleted that. Can't find it. So, oh yeah, this was good actually. Really good. This is a great mapping video actually. So, this is sort of the era I started to focus more on Scandinavian history in my channel because I studied Scandinavian history back then. Maybe not yet actually. I think I still was in like primary school or gymnasium or however you want to call it in English. And I didn't really push the boundaries of Scandinavian mapping here. I did later on, but this was mainly taken from other YouTube videos and then I compiled it all into one new video. Didn't really steal it, I wouldn't say that, because this is what mappers do. They use each other for sources, but this didn't really push it. And then I began this series, History of What Today Is. And basically it just shows the modern borders of a country and show them like what countries have ruled those areas historically. So let's have a look at Belarus, for example. So this is the Kievan Rus, obviously. This is pretty good. And I remember I quit this series around India because that was just too much. I'm starting to realize why the channel grew. This is great content. I like this, and I did the same mistake again. So what do we have next? This series, yeah, it continued and made this alternate history, what if Atlantis existed? And this is where we reached 100 subscribers. Let's have a look. I still couldn't align the text so it would be in the middle, but it's pretty funny. 100,000 subs now. Yeah, 100 back then, and that's big. Like I said, I already made a thank you video at 30 subscribers, and now we're at 116,000, man. And 10 years later, man. All right. What else? What else? So this is, I guess I started shifting around, back here it was mainly this History of What Today Is series, but then I had some Europa Universalis where I watched streamers do EU4 Let's Plays, and I would map the growth of their empires. Oh, this is when I made the History of the Star Wars universe. This became the biggest one on my channel, and it only, I think it was this year, 2024, it just got surpassed by quite a lot actually, and we'll get to that. But have a look at how satisfying the music is. And the text here, I guess I got pale on the introduction text. Now it's finally like aligned and looks good. And then, yeah, like a nice, simple, very simple video about Star Wars, the history of the Star Wars universe. But that's why it becomes so big. And it became so big because of the sequel hype in those years. This was around, what was it? Must have been like around 2016, I guess. What else? Oh, this is interesting. Alternate wars, Russia versus Ukraine. So this might have been even before. No, no, it was. Yeah, I showed Crimea as being part of Russia then, so it was after the Crimean invasion. But let's see what I, as a 17-year-old, thought a Russo-Ukrainian war would look like before it even really began. Let's take a look. This will be really interesting. Oh, I made two different scenarios. One where Ukraine attacks and one when Russia attacks. Why would Ukraine attack? And you remember back then it was the prevailing view that Russia could stomp Ukraine easily in a few days. Everybody knew that back then. So this is probably why I'm showing it like this. Russia turning the tide real quick. Kiev is taken by Russian forces. Ukraine is forced to admit defeat. Alright, and let's see the Russian attack. Will it be accurate to what it actually happened like? So far yes, so far yes, so far yes. And this is when it changes. I think Kiev is captured by this point. And but I'd say I was right. I was pretty much right up until here, except for the Odessa part. They wouldn't. Well, actually, I'm not too far off. I think Russia planned a naval invasion of Odessa if they hadn't got stopped here by the rivers and such. So not too bad, actually. Not too bad. What else? What else? Oh, this is actually a. This was like one of my first real original project where I researched it all by myself. So I made the history of the counties of Sweden, the like administrative divisions, like the provinces, like how the history of Sweden has, the subdivisions of Sweden has changed throughout the years. Yeah, I remember making this. I was really proud of it, and I thought it would get so many views, but it didn't. Let's see what changes. Yeah, it got 2,400 views. Come on, guys. That's worth more. Alternate history of the Holy Roman Empire. I think that's a good thumbnail. That's probably why it did quite well. This was a April 1st video. I made a joke about making the Third Balkan War. People got a bit. It was a joke. It was a prank because people would have gotten offended about it. So I didn't actually make it. I just made it look like I made it. Top 24 subscribed video mappers. Nah, let's skip that one. The Russian conquest of Siberia. This was used by a few YouTubers as what do you call it? Like yeah, just as content for their own videos when they talked about the Russian conquest of Siberia. This isn't very accurate, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think it's very. What else do we have? What else do we have? Rise and Fall of Phoenicia. That's a really good quality map, I think. The map itself, maybe not the labels. Let's have a look. Oh, this is satisfying. Man, I like this. What else? What else? Yeah, I made this alternate future of the world video. That was something. That was like another series of mine. And this, I guess, is when the Scandinavian era of my YouTube history began. Because I made this, and that's kicked things off, I think, when I made this video about where the Viking states were roughly located. Good video. What else? I feel like we're slowly reaching, like, this isn't the first era of Vologda mapping anymore. But I still have the history of what today is series going, so I guess it is. Then I made a Q&A, 1,000 subscriber Q&A. So this is when we reached 1,000 subscribers, and that's because of that earlier Star Wars video that I showed you. It sort of exploded, and that's when we reached 1,000 subscribers. What else did I make? Battlefield Universe. Interesting. Yeah, that became a series. There was a big attack in Stockholm where people thought like it was our 9/11. That I was really in the middle of Stockholm when it happened with my then girlfriend, and we traveled through Stockholm all that day because of very different reasons. So I had a very interesting perspective on the Drottninggatan attack. It was a Uzbek man who drove through a pedestrian street, and killed like 7 people. And I had a really intimate experience with that. For example, my girlfriend's younger sister, she was at that street when it happened, and she was really young. And the police took her down and her class. She was there with her class. They took her down beneath the ground and held them there, and their parents weren't allowed to see them for their safety. Weird, man. Really weird. What else? Oh yeah, Robert's Rebellion. This is a great video. Let's see here. Yeah, this is good. This is good. History of the Game of Thrones. The Game of Thrones. Time for whiskey. The Game of Thrones era of this YouTube channel had really kicked off here. What else do we have? Oh yeah, I did make this History of Scandinavia. And this was like the biggest project of my channel so far, and it was great. It was great. This is what pushed the boundaries of Scandinavian mapping back then. And people knew it because people hadn't really mapped the history of Scandinavia at this time at all. So I had to research all of this by myself. And those who liked Northern European history back then, they loved this video because imagine you're a mapping nerd, you love these videos, but the only videos you have of the history of Sweden and Norway and Denmark are really, sorry to the people who made it before me, but low quality. And I also made low quality videos before, but this actually really pioneered the history of mapping because this became the basis of future Scandinavian mapping. And it's not, obviously it's not entirely accurate, but it's good. This is a good project. And then it turns into Norway, Sweden. So I really included the Viking Age, and I'm proud of that. And then Olibai later on. Let's see, Olibai, History of Northern Europe. We made this together. And that was crazy to me that I was able to contribute. I'd say 50-50 on this video, and it got uploaded to his channel. And this is how our collaboration started, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah. Oh, the history of Tamriel. This became like my second biggest. This isn't the one. This is just a preview of a certain era of the history of Tamriel. This is the one. 1.5 million became my second most popular video. For those who like Skyrim, or the Elder Scrolls for that matter. Oh, and this is really when we started working, me and Olibai. We had. I'll tell you the story of this. Actually, it was a really dark period of my life. My girlfriend had just broken up with me, and I was kind of traumatized. And completely unrelated, I asked Olibai, hey, can you make a video of the history of Northern Europe? Because he was up and coming back then, and he was the best mapper. And he was like, yeah, I could make it, but can you help me, please? And I had like 2,000 subscribers at this time, and he had like I don't know how many, like 80,000 maybe. And he asked me for help, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, that was amazing. I was so lifted up by that. And then we started working together and talking every day and mapping together, and I researched and he drew the maps, and we became friends. And in the long run, that really helped me through the difficult times of my girlfriend breaking up. So we made that master work of a project. And I uploaded the Viking Age to my channel as a preview. What do we have? Yeah, and also we started on this History of the World series. Let's see if I can find this. We were ambitious. We were planning on making the entire history of the world, but let's see here. So a series. Actually, I'll find it here, I know. Playlists and History of the World. So we made this, and I voiced it, and he animated
Asia,
and we both researched it.
throne by one of its fief, the kingdom of Shang, which was led by a gifted leader named Tang. This marked the establishment of the second dynasty, the Shang dynasty, in traditional Chinese historiography. The Shang.
All right, quite ASMR there, in my opinion. What else do we have? Yeah, Viking Age, and we have more Game of Thrones. We have the history of Stockholm. We also have the War of the Ring. That's a good video. The history of the Eskimos. That's a really good video, and I researched that all myself. Very detailed. This is like a new peak for the channel. This is when I started studying, or when I was at the end of my Scandinavian history studies. And that's when I made this series, the Viking Age, the founders of Sweden, the Swedish Gothic Wars, and the Civil War era of Sweden. I was planning on making it to the modern age, but it's difficult making big projects ambitious. What else do we have? Just good videos overall. And this, this one became like the third most popular, and now I think it's like the fifth or second, I don't know. But this shows what we thought the world map looked like. So orange is where we thought land were, but we hadn't proved it, so we hadn't explored the interior of Africa. And the white and blue is where we've actually mapped, so you can see we've made the first circumnavigation of the world, and all the dark is like obviously where we don't know. So this is a great video, one of the best ones. Oh yeah, and this is when the Game of Thrones series ended, and I had planned this for a long time. I was like, I'm gonna make a video when it ends, or a series showing what happened after the series, and I did that, and it was great. And it took over the channel for a few months, I think. And then season 1 ended, and I began making new content, and I think this was like one of the like a peak for the channel, actually, a new peak, because the Game of Thrones, lots of people subscribed. I think we might have reached like 10,000 subscribers around here, maybe even 20. And then I made some real bangers, like Let's Redraw the Borders of Africa. That got popular. What else? What else? We have this, the Fallout universe. All of these got over 100,000 subscribers. And History of the Star Wars universe, the second version. Better one, but not as popular as things usually go. The historical eras of Europe. So this shows like it's difficult to explain, but basically, yeah, the historical eras of YouTube shown on a map. So you see where the Viking Age was, because obviously the Viking Age wasn't in Italy, it was in Scandinavia. So this is the Viking Age and England. And then the rest is Dark Ages, but what we have in Greece was Byzantine era. And then the High Middle Ages began, and it goes on like this. And it got a lot of criticism because it's difficult to map the history of Europe this way. But it was an original idea and a really original video, and I made it myself with the help of Vologda, and great video. What else do we have? So this is the second season of Game of Thrones, and I kept on uploading bangers like the Clone Wars every standard month. What else? I collaborated with Mr. C and with What If Alt Hist. That was cool. Oh, this was a banger as well. This was one of the best videos on my channel back then.
Solved can be seen as the beginning of the Anglo-French alliance, which stands to this day. Britain would get the Nile and France would get Lake Chad and the Congo. This didn't.
Alright. Then also, yeah, fun little meme video. Sort of suitable. Let's watch it.
How did I go from this to this?
All right. And the Gombe chimpanzee war. Oh yeah. So this is actually the end of an era. End of, if you're being broad about it, you could say end of the first era, because this is really when the map, when the channel changed. I made a few videos. Last ones did quite shit, like 10,000 views and 5,000 views. I had like 40,000 subscribers back then, so this was like a low of the channel. And before we reach this next era, I want to show you this. I made this. I'm a big fan of it. It shows the history of Europe in pictures every decade. So Jesus, it begins with Jesus, and then it goes on like this. So, no, I think it's really great. I think this is one of my best works, honestly, but it didn't get a lot of views. So I keep on promoting this one. 10,000 views, let's get it to 1 million. This is great. This is great. Come on, watch it. All right, and then, yeah, this is the Corona era, and then the Ukrainian era of Vologda mapping begins. So now we're leaving the old Vologda mapping behind, and we're reaching a new era. And before the war began, the invasion began, people talked about it a lot, and I thought I was going to, well, profit off the hype. So I made this alternate history. What if Russia invaded Ukraine? And I made it like a few weeks before. Actually, I was still working on it when it happened. So when it actually began for real, I just uploaded as far as I got, and then I started making the actual series. So, okay.
For the past few years, I've been working on this fun little alternate project. What if Russia invaded Ukraine? And now 2.5 hours ago, as I'm recording this, Russia invaded Ukraine, which sort of renders my project pointless, I guess. I mean, who wants to watch an alternate version of something that's going on for real right now? So I guess what I'll do is just stop working on it, upload it as far as I got, and I guess we can compare what I thought would happen to what is actually happening. I also realized that this war is serious. It's between the two largest countries in Europe, and it might be the biggest war in Europe since the breakup of Yugoslavia, or perhaps even World War II. So let's hope for a peaceful resolution. Vologda out.
I wasn't too far off. I wasn't too far off. But then, yeah, let's have a look at the first day. Come on. You can see it's changed a lot since then. And thanks to these first videos, the channel exploded. I had 40,000 subscribers before. And then in like a week or something like that, it jumped to 90,000 subscribers. So I kept on the grind, not just because of the views, although the attention was a big plus, of course, and it felt like, it wasn't like, fuck yeah, I'm making money, I'm getting views. It was more like bittersweet responsibility, because I have friends and family on both sides of the conflict. I love Russia and I love Ukraine. And I love my Slavic brothers because I'm Russian myself. You know, Vologda is a town in Russia where I was born. So, and like I said, I have friends in Ukraine and I hate this war. So it means something to me personally. So I kept on making videos about it completely took over the channel, completely. But also me and Oli Bai and a Chinese dude, no, a Taiwanese girl I think it was, and a Serbian dude. We had worked on this project for a long time, the complete history of Arda and the Middle Earth, so the Lord of the Rings. And this is this is the greatest project I've ever worked on, maybe apart from Ukraine. Depends on how you count, because this is one video. Ukraine is maybe 100 videos by now. I don't know. Not quite yet. Yeah, probably. I don't know. Yes, it is. But this is the such a great project. Shows the entire. You know, it starts with the creation of the world, and then it ends with you know, the War of the Ring and what happened after as well. So if you like Lord of the Rings, you'll watch that. This is the YouTube video. I'm not even bragging. I mean, it's just true. And it wasn't all me, but it fitted my channel, Olibai thought, so to my channel it was uploaded. What else, what else, what else? I kept on making a few other videos. I tried to keep the channel diverged because about half of my subscribers back then wanted Ukraine, about the rest was still yearning for the Game of Thrones and the old stuff, you know, so. And this, I think, is when I went on my second Euro trip, and we went to Istanbul. I also swung by Ukraine to see how that was for the first time, and I made a video about it, so you can watch that. Hehe, I uploaded this extended version to my members members page, but I don't have any members on my YouTube channel, and I can understand why. It's probably a pretty bad concept for YouTube. If you wanna contribute to my channel and get some extra content, go to my Patreon instead, honestly. Oh, and here I started covering the Nigerian crisis as well. I think I got some criticism on this on Discord because people thought I was like milking wars to get views. I'm not sure how to respond to that even. And this we come into modern memory now actually, because yeah, the Nigerian crisis didn't really develop into a war at all. Actually, Niger won that eventually, and I ended it at the complete right time because the week before the war, Israel-Hamas war, started, I ended this, so it was perfect. Then I started this project where I tried to make a really accurate de facto world map, so not what people think the world borders are, but what they actually are in real life, like in reality. Ukraine is an example. You know, this is the actual borders of Ukraine right now, whether you like it or not. So I talked a lot about that in this video, and I eventually scrapped that project. And then I kept on making Israel and Ukraine videos, and then this one became viral, and I uploaded it real quickly. I found it on TikTok initially. I could lie and say I filmed this during my trip to Ukraine, but I didn't. I wasn't near the front lines. But yeah, so this became my most popular video. 5.1 million views as of right now, as I'm making this video. Let's see if that changes in the future. I always thought the Star Wars video would be my, like, well, I didn't really think it would be forever. Maybe I didn't really think anything consciously about it. But I was surprised that this one overtook it eventually. And you guys remember these videos. You've seen them. When I talked about Avdiivka, the fall of Avdiivka in last winter, and then we have yeah, the breakthrough in Ocheretne, which is still going on actually. The Russians are still advancing. And here I went to Ukraine and had the craziest experiences, man. I went to Odessa. I partied with some gopniks and it was amazing. And then I went to Kiev, and Kiev is such an amazing city, and I really experienced like the damage of the war there. saw the toys of the children that had died, and met soldiers, met an Azov battalion soldier. A Ukrainian guy drove me around, showed me this destroyed Russian tanks outside of Kiev. And this is where we're at right now. That's the history of Vologda mapping. 10 years condensed into a summary. I hope you like this. Now let's continue with the Q&A.